Hey, what's up everyone? This is Ryan with From Corners Unknown. I hope you're all doing well. This is our artist conversation series, and in this episode I speak with Tarek of the New Haven, Connecticut noise rock band Intercourse. These guys have been around for several years now, and I discovered them late 2017, but didn't really start getting into their discography until partway through 2018. They dropped their latest LP, Everything is Pornography When You've Got an Imagination, about 4 months ago in March, and Connor and I gushed about this record at length in our Voices from Corners Unknown series, episode 12, so if you folks want to hear some of our thoughts on that, you can go check that out. But after that conversation came to its natural conclusion, and I've given the album more time to marinate in my mind, I can definitely say it is one of my favorite discoveries and favorite LPs of 2018 thus far. What struck me first and foremost about this LP and Intercourse as a whole were the lyrics and the delivery of them. They just have this strange sentimentality that speaks to this weird subconscious undercurrent I sometimes feel, where you may think certain things but you don't feel comfortable saying them, and for some reason the lyrics and the way they're delivered, they just speak to this strange outsider feeling I get quite frequently, and as a result I wanted to speak with Tarek, the vocalist of Intercourse, and learn more about him and how he conjures these lyrics and why he delivers them in the way he does in all the tracks. In this conversation, we dive into a number of cuts off their latest LP, discussing the lyrics and stories underlying them. We also bullshit and muse about the retrospectively cringeworthy nu metal genre from the early aughts. That's kind of the genre of music that got me into extreme metal in the first place. And we also dig a bit into a new documentary Tarek is working on with his brother titled Whiskey on Beer, which encapsulates the story of this famous underground punk outfit titled Load from Florida. Just after this introduction, I will play for you folks a track off their new LP titled Beyond Human, and at the end of the conversation, I will play another track off their LP titled Too Fucked to Yiff. As always, thank you so much for your continued support, and thank you for any and all support you can give Tarek and Intercourse.
phone because it goes dark after a minute and everything.
Yeah.
But now I back up to the cloud. I'm all up in the fucking cloud. No problem. I'm married. I don't have like nudes or dick pics in my phone. Right? I have nothing to worry about. So I'm just like, yeah, dude, cloud me.
Right, yeah. You've already
happening again.
Yeah, you've already kind of consigned yourself to the technological fate or whatever. Just all your data just exists somewhere, and probably anybody can, or some people in some company could probably just see all your data. It's just like, who gives a fuck at that point, right?
Fuck, take it. Take it. My info is so worthless. Like, if you figure out how to get it, into my bank account, the money's yours, man. You did the work. Besides, they give it back to you anyways.
Right.
You just fucking complain, and then they're just like, "Oh, our bad," and you get all your money back. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't sweat it. Big Brother has got me by the balls. I don't even care anymore.
Oh shit. Well, I appreciate you taking time to speak with me, man.
No, dude. We just got trolled on Instagram.
Oh, really? Guy
trolling us, like, and it was annoying. And at first, I started arguing with him, but then I was just like, all you're doing is just like fucking boosting us in the algorithm. You know that, right? Like, even though you're just shit talking, like, it's just helping us.
Right.
So anything is good.
How did it? What was the guy doing exactly?
I don't want to. So, Bad Religion came out with a song called "The Kids Are Alt-Right."
Yes. I wanted to actually. I mean, this is probably a good place to even start the conversation, because I saw those remarks you made, or those posts, and I was laughing pretty hard at that. And then I went and listened to the track that they put out. I was like, man, it's a pretty. I thought it was a little cringy. I was not a fan.
I mean, I feel it. I get the point, but like, there's so many like people right now that are just trying to jump on this fucking. And the president sucks. Don't get me wrong, but there are people like jumping on the bandwagon to try and gain some relevance.
Yes.
So it's an easy pun. The kids are alt-right. Our drummer came up with it, and we wrote the song like 2 years ago. So I'm not surprised. So I put that up. I was like, just joking around. Like, I don't really expect Bad Religion. I don't really think they stole it from us. I don't really expect anything from them, but why not? It's funny.
Sure.
But there was another band, and I don't even want to mention their name or
that's fine. No worries.
Give them any attention, that had an album called that, but it came out after our song even. So the dude started with me, and I'm like, because it's such a simple and easy pun, I'm not really like upset. I don't give a fuck. Like, he came up with the same thing, but he was like, "Oh, you stole it from us." Like, nah, bro, we did it first. Right. And then he just kept going back and forth and being like, "You guys are like fucking bleeding through, hate breed, wallet chain, motherfuckers." It's like, dog, we're more noise rock. Like, we're not. Yeah. I guess because we have screaming, we got associated with fucking metalcore or some shit, but like, we have like one breakdown in an entire 5 years and like 6 releases. Like, that's definitely not what we are. We're more like a fucking Unsane, or I don't know, like, Jesus, there's so many other bands.
Yeah, of course. That
liberally borrowed from. I don't know why he would connect us to Hatebreed.
No, I don't see that. I don't see any of that, and I never even listened to those bands much growing up, because I know that those were pretty big when I was getting into metal, like, they were kind of at the forefront, and I never really got into it, but I could not even really draw a parallel there between your sound and theirs.
Yeah, but we're from Connecticut too, so like Hatebreed's like the huge ass band from here. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah. So I'm still, I get into conversations with folks, and some folks, they tend to be a bit older, and then they talk about bands that were around at a certain time, and I'm like, man, I wasn't even existing in the world when they're talking about certain bands, and like, I can't add much to the conversation sometimes, and I feel, it's not like not necessarily a bad thing, but I just feel like I can't carry the conversation as strong on some of those fronts as a result. Unfortunately.
Dog, that was like when I was like 18. It was like bleeding. It was the metalcore thing. Yeah. So like, I grew up in the 90s, and I heard a lot of 90s hardcore, and it was like very like political.
Sure.
And then like 2002, I'm 18, finally get into the scene, and it's just like fashion core. Yeah, that was like all I fucking grew up on. Blood Has Been Shed, like Killswitch Engage. Like, I'm from Connecticut, so those are all Massachusetts bands, and that metalcore metalcore thing in the early 2000s was very big.
Right.
So I'm like real familiar with that shit, but anything in common with that besides like having guitars.
Yeah, no, I grew up on that sort of stuff. I was kind of gushing over stuff like Killswitch Engage when I was growing up. I think that they existed quite a long time before I got, like they had a number of albums, and I think I jumped on that bandwagon. Shit, what album was that? It was the one right after the end of Heartache, I think, when they already switched vocalists and such. So I was kind of, I kind of jumped in pretty late, and then I got into like their newer stuff, and then I went back and listened to their old stuff. I'm like, oh man, I kind of like the older stuff a bit more. It's like a little raw.
When it first came out, they were fucking crazy. Like that shit was like brand new. It was at like the end of new metal.
Right.
Metal was kind of like dying down. Because when I was a kid, it was all like fucking Limp Bizkit and Korn, and then all those bands came out, and it was really cool at first, but I got like then there was just like the imitators. There's like 200 like cookie cutter fucking metalcore bands with breakdowns and like sung choruses, and it just got real old fast. And that was like when I started the punk and shit.
Yeah, and I don't know. It seems like even somewhat recently, like the metalcore, I can't remember exactly how old I was when I got into that. I was probably like 15, 16-ish. But it seems like there's been a bit of a, there's been a bit of a resurgence in that style of music a little bit. Or, I mean, it still seems to be afloat. Like some of the bands seem to continue kicking on, and they still seem to have a decent following, which is a little interesting to me. But I've kind of grown so far past it, I can't really go back and listen to it unless it's for, just the sake of nostalgia or something like that, Yeah,
it's very cyclical. Like right now, again, like Vane, that's very... Everyone keeps like being like, oh, like there are new metal bands. Like, they have that new metal bounce here and there, but it's very much like Orchid and like it's a lot like that late '90s screamo stuff,
right?
But kind of with like a little bit of that early Dillinger fucking feel.
Yeah, I haven't given them enough listening time, but of the couple tracks I sampled off their newest LP, Air Zone, I was like, man, this is a really interesting amalgamation of sounds. Like, I just thought it was really intriguing. Like, it definitely sounded different from what I typically listen to. I don't think I've stumbled across much, not to be punny here, but in that vein, like that vein of music. But yeah, I enjoy those guys. Are they nearby where you are?
They're from Boston.
Okay.
But they play in Connecticut a lot. It's a good album. It's not one-dimensional. Like, when you hear a lot of the singles, they seem kind of one-dimensional, but, like, once you, like, get into the album, there's, like, more stuff. And also, they're, like, 21, 22, 23.
Oh, wow. They're that young, huh?
They'll probably really... When they grow, like, they have, like, super hype right now. They're blowing up.
Yes.
I think their best shit is probably ahead of them right now.
Yeah. But, that's actually a good point. I mean, it will be interesting, too, to see how they evolve. Yeah, because, like, they are so young. So give them, another 4, 5, 6 years. And if they're still going strong, just seeing, like, how it kind of morphs into... I really can't imagine how they would change at this point based on what I've listened to. But it should be interesting. Could you explain for me how the band formed? I guess it would be good to also... ask about some of your earlier bands, if you've been in any. I think I read an interview on, I can't remember the name of the website at this moment. I think it was published about a month ago, and you were in a band for quite a while ago, right? Like the early-ish 2000s or mid-2000s, is that right?
Well, I mean, I started being in bands. My first band was 2001. Mm-hmm. I was in Among Shattered Dreams. It's just like a shitty metalcore band that no one's heard of but did well locally. Like, the big claim to fame with that band is our drummer went on to be in the Acacia Strain.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Were you guys kind of, like, at that moment when you were in that band, were you kind of riding that wave, though? That kind of that huge metalcore wave? Is that what you were trying to work into a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we were, like, really into, like, Unearth and fucking... Dying Fetus isn't really metalcore. Dying Fetus used to be considered deathcore back when I was a kid.
Oh, for real? Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Deathcore used to mean Dying Fetus and fucking Skinless. And even deathcore, to me, it's just shitty fucking death metal. There's nothing really core about it. There's no punk influence in it. Like, I could just go off on that, and like metalcore isn't really fucking hardcore and metal. It's fucking just shitty watered down metal. Like
Yeah, you kind of just
breakdown, like that comes from Slayer, Rain and Blood, and like Suffocation. Like
right.
that's not a hardcore thing. Hardcore is, it's like a chord progression and like a feeling, but
yeah, it's not just a riff and then you kind of strip it down to just these. And as opposed to having more intricate riffage, you kind of just boil it down to some chugs, and then you kind of rinse and repeat with the breakdown and see how brutal and how slow you can make those sections, right? I mean, I used to love that shit, and then once I started seeing the pattern, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like after I kind of grew up a little bit and listened to it enough, and then I just like completely lost interest after that.
Yeah, it became really homogenized.
Yes.
So I was a lot of metalcore bands or metal bands. I was in this band Weapon Spring War that we played New England Metal and Hardcore Fest one year.
Right.
Then a Death Grind band, Chainsaw Brains. Then I was in this band Moroi for a couple years. I was kind of like Dead Guy Meets Disembodied. Then I was in the band Sinners. That was my last band before Intercourse. And just being in these bands and the breakdowns. We played a show, it was a benefit, and it was just a bunch of fucking bands with breakdowns and a bunch of people screaming over them. And by the end of it, I was just like, I can't even, listening to these people, tell one band apart from the other.
Yeah.
Kind of checked out mentally from kind of scene. And I'd always been really into like Hole and Butthole Surfers and shit like that. Was when I was just like, all right, I'm fucking 29. I really want to be in a fucking noise rock band. So I met the kid. We started the band. We got two other people. And for like the first 2 years, we just hemorrhaged. We mostly hemorrhaged drummers.
Really?
We went through a lot of members. We even had a drummer like leave in the middle of tour.
Wow. How did that go down? Was that just like, did they even give notice, or did they just skip out? Like they were just sick and tired of whatever and they just left without any announcement?
We woke up to a text and he was gone. He took a bus back.
Really?
So I went to the show the next day and it was fucking packed. It was an amazing show. The promoter was kind of like, what the fuck, man? I was like, because it was also when I was shooting that documentary I was telling you about, traveling down to film that. And then the very last night, the last show, I actually got to play. There's this guy, Frank Filestra, or he's called Rat Bastard, and he had this band, Laundry Room Squelchers. And they were actually voted the worst band in the world. It's been in like 1994.
Jesus.
And I got to sing for them for a show, and they paid me $100 because they felt so bad for me that my band imploded mid-tour.
Wow.
But that happened. We got Caleb, who's our drummer now, and also writes a lot of the songs. And we got Jay, who's our other guitar player.
Yeah.
He writes a bunch of shit. So it's been really like stable and nice these past 3 years.
And you're hoping that that's going to continue on pretty stable? Like you're hoping it'll kind of stay at that? Like, do you find that this group of folks, like they're all pretty committed and you guys are all on the same page for the most part?
We get enough. You're in a lot of, if you're in bands, there's a dynamic to the relationship between people and bands. And we get along pretty well. Our bass player, Timmy, he was in that band Invocation in the Ek.
Okay.
I don't know if them, like they were signed in the big metalcore wave of the early aughts.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. See, I guess we could even muse about some of that stuff later on, some of the metalcore stuff, because I haven't tread that ground. I haven't even thought about any of the bands I used to listen to for shit. It's probably been 4 or 5 years at this point. I haven't even thought about a single metalcore band, frankly. But
there's nothing there. Like 12 million cool noise rock bands or garage rock bands.
Right.
It's metalcore. Well, I mean, I guess there's all right metal. I mean, I guess Vane's metalcore. I'm just,
Yeah. Yeah, some people, I mean, you could even consider some, like, old school, like, Converge a bit metalcore, like, they had some pretty heavy breakdowns. And so, like, even in their most recent record, they had a pretty hard breakdown on one of those tracks. But, I mean, they're more like metallic hardcore, whatever you want to call it. I can never get the descriptors of bands correct anymore. It's so hard.
Their last album is my favorite by them.
Yeah, it's very dynamic.
And with metalcore, but Jesus Lizard is very, like, if you listen to Jane Doe, there's a lot, and even Kurt Battle will, like, cop to it in interviews. He'll be like, yeah, I was just trying to rip off Jesus Lizard riffs.
Yeah, Jesus Lizard is, they are one of those bands that, accidentally, I don't know what got me into them, and I started like I think got like a haircut from some lady in Portland. She said, "Oh yeah, they're my favorite band." I listened to them, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Just like the riffs and the intensity. I have that album Goat. That's the one that I got into. There, yeah, that's something else, man. That record.
Oh shit! And every song on it sounds different.
Yes,
it's not just one type of song. Like they're just Goat's amazing.
Yeah.
They're very underrated. Getting their due. I saw them at their reunion in New York.
Right.
But Surfers are another band that's so fucking important that people don't talk about enough. If you didn't have Butthole Surfers, you wouldn't have fucking Beck. You wouldn't have the White Stripes. You wouldn't have fucking the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, they're very underrated for their importance in, like, underground and punk rock.
Yeah, but it seems like those people that know that, there's probably a huge swell of people in the underground that know that and respect the fucking hell out of them, right? I mean, I could imagine. I haven't listened to Butthole Surfers as much. I did listen to that recent reissue of the Locust Abortion Technician or whatever that is. Yeah, and I was really surprised by that. I listened to that and I was like, because they reissued it and I didn't even realize it was a reissue. I thought it was like some new tracks. I was like, wow, this is some crazy, weird, kind of amazing stuff. And then, it came out however long ago. I was like, man, this came out that long ago. I was just surprised at how old it was. And it just sounded so, like, it just sounded so unique, even listening to it today relative to everything else I listened to.
Yeah, everyone says that's their seminal album. It's not my favorite. I think getting into buttholes, that's like getting into a beer by having an IPA for the first time, or like getting into food by eating oysters the first time.
Right.
My favorite is Live PCP EP, which is just playing their album Brown Reason to Live, but live. But the thing is, with a studio recording of Brown Reason to Live, you want to slow it down. It's like recorded at 45 or some shit. You want to play it at 33.
Oh.
So to feel the songs, you want to hear them live. So that, Psychic Powerless, Another Man's Sack is great. Rembrandt, Pussy Horse is great. Even like their so-called sellout albums, like Electric Larryland and fucking, what's the name of the one with?
There's that, isn't there that Hairway to Steven one or whatever it is?
Mostly acoustic, though. Oh, Independent Worm Saloon is another one.
Oh, okay.
But stay the fuck away from Weird Revolution. You don't want to listen to that.
Okay, yeah. See, I need to do some homework and listen to those guys a bit more. Yeah, I have not given them the time of day. It's just, there's so many bands and so many things, like just such a large back catalog. It's hard to find time to get through everything.
When you don't want something that's mad screamy, you kind of want to just chill and like you want to hear music that makes you feel kind of good. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, really cool. It's happy music for me. It doesn't have that weird threatening vibe. That's not like listening to Rectal Hygienics.
Okay.
Or like that, or like Unsane. It's just chill.
Yeah.
You can play it for normal people. If they don't listen to the lyrics, they'll like it.
Sure, that makes sense. So what is it about... So you went from more metalcore kind of writing that wave, doing those, kind of doing that sort of genre, but what is it about noise rock that is so intriguing to you? What's at the essence of that genre or that sound and style that just speaks to you?
I just love it. I mean, there's no like boundaries to it, it seems. And there's just so many different kinds and they're all weird and just, I don't know, man, noise rock band it makes me happy to listen to a Cows album, or
it
makes me happy to listen to Scratch Acid, which is the earlier incarnation of Jesus Lizard.
Yeah, I listened a bit to Scratch Acid, I think, and I was pretty pleased with listening to that. Noise rock is something that I'm not terribly entrenched in, and I don't know much about it. My deepest foray, or kind of like the thing that got me into it at first to realize what it was that sort of newer band Whores. Like, they really kind of solidified like my interest in it. I don't know if you've listened to them much.
Yeah, of course, definitely. That's a good modern gateway band rock. I definitely enjoyed there's this song Daddy's Money I really like. I think it's off Ruiner.
Okay. Yeah.
Or one of the early EPs. I'm not like crazy familiar with them. I also really like Piss Jeans a lot.
Yeah, I've been seeing their name all over the place. Like, I see them dropped, like, people on either their Facebook page and they, quote their influences or cite their influences. I see that name everywhere, and I still have not listened to them. I may have heard a track or two, by proxy on accident, and that's something may come to mind if I hear it, but I've not sat down and listened to them before.
King of Jeans is really good. King of Jeans, that's their album. That's where I would start with them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great. Like I said, Rectal Hygienics is like I Hate God meets Brain Bombs. That's because like there's so many different kinds of noise rock too. There's like really heavy, sludgy noise rock.
Right.
There's consider Locust to be a noise rock band.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, I've heard that comparison. I've never personally. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just I don't have enough of a base of knowledge in the stuff to really be able to understand that connection, if that makes sense, or make that synapse fire.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's weird. It's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I just got really bored with like conventional metalcore, and I've been a big. I grew up in the '90s, so I really like Hole.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Nirvana, and all that shit was kind of like the grunge movement was basically just it was like commercial noise rock.
Right.
Grunge noise rock.
Okay, sure.
So I don't know. I just like all that stuff. I don't know what it is about it. I just like this simplicity. I love feedback. I think feedback's the most beautiful noise in the world. I love singers that can't actually sing. I fucking love it. I think talent's boring. I just love people that can't sing and just suck and are just imperfect. I like the humanity in it. And like metalcore, airy, like everyone's trying to sound like a demon or sing like an angel in the chorus, and it got just like too perfect. Like I don't know, there's just more personality and character than just shit punk noise rock.
Yeah, would you say in some sense that, like, at least in the early aughts, as you were describing, would you say something to the effect of, like, and this is me trying to make some observations based on my limited recollection at the moment, but I feel like noise rock kind of has this, like the feedback, and there's almost like this sloppiness to it that kind of makes it inherently compelling, whereas, say, metalcore is kind of, even deathcore is, like, so overproduced. And like the way that they get their tones and such can be like so chunky and bassy, but I don't know, like sometimes I felt like when I listened to some of that stuff back in the day, like it was just so overproduced and so squeaky clean in some sense that it just kind of lost that allure, if that makes sense. I don't know if you could agree with me on that.
Yeah, dude, and you can't tell it apart.
Yeah, there's not much personality from band to band for sure.
So there you have it.
Yeah, no, you got, I'm just trying to, I haven't thought about it, enough to be able to draw the connection there. I guess I'm also curious just like how you kind of fell into the sound that you produce, because, I started getting into your music with Everything is Pornography. Like that was kind of the first bit. I think I stumbled upon you guys earlier on, like late last year, with Pissing into the Abyss, but it's such an interesting amalgamation of sound, just the dynamic and how each song sounds different. I was just curious, like how you like kind of the compositional approach and like what feeds into just the writing style and like how you churn these interesting songs out.
Well, I mean, our one guitarist, Jay,
mm-hmm.
He's fucking really into, like, he grew up on a lot. He's 10 years older than, well, no, he's like 7 years, or maybe he's only like 6 years older than me. Right. He grew up on a lot of stuff. He loves, like, Bloodlit, but he also loves, like, King Crimson and a lot of jazz.
Huh. Okay.
Swamp. He has, like, a really weird array of influences. So either him or Caleb will come in with a riff, and they'll write the song. I can't play any instruments. I'm fucking useless. And then I'll have something I'll have a stupid story or
sure
I want to scream over, and I just try to make it entertaining and not fall into the trap of vocals being an afterthought.
Sure.
So a lot of it's just like, scream over this, growl over this, and I don't know, I just try to make it what I want to listen to. I just try to make it entertaining.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask as well, like the kind of the way, Because that, in addition to just the compositions, the instrumentation, I found, your lyrics and the delivery of them to be one of the more engaging and intriguing aspects of the band. And I don't know, I like what is it like how do you go about writing lyrics? Because there's something so like genuine about it. I feel like when I listen to it, just compared to so many other bands, like the lyrics are kind of like, at least on the songs that I can recall off the top of my head, like I find them pretty amusing. Like there's just this strange sense of awareness about them, and it's almost like, yeah, like the stories you tell are kind of weird and out there, but they're somehow really relatable. It's hard for me to describe it well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff just kind of comes to me, and like I also like grew up on a lot of stuff like Dead Guy. One of my favorite bands is this band called Load, where the singer just kind of fucking talks through all the songs. So
okay, yeah.
I definitely knew I want to just scream over everything in the same pattern. I kind of wanted to disregard the rhythm and just do what the fuck ever over it.
Right.
For the stories, like some of them are true stories.
Yeah.
Coricidin's a hell of a drug. It's a true story. When I was a teenager, you could not find acid. We all wanted to trip, so we would take this stuff called Coricidin, cold and cough. You take like 10 of them, and you fucking trip balls.
Really?
One night we were doing them all, and there was some kids from downtown, and this girl had me snort some pill she stole from her mom's medicine cabinet. I didn't know what it was. I just snorted it. It was probably Oxycontin or something horrible now that I think back. And then we lost track of her and this other guy, and we found them around the corner in my parents' basement just fucking on a mattress.
Get your ass down to the Walmart! Steal you a box of that Coricidin golden club! Today we're gonna trip our fucking balls off! I started at 8, but now I'm up to 12! Burning those big cigarette sticks! What the fuck did I just start? She said, I got it from my mom's medicine cabinet. Her name was Cigarette Burn. Always smoldering. Always asking why. His name was Frank. He was happy with a home. Living a trail from downtown to the trailer park. Never get to propose it to throw yourself out a window, but you misplaced your game.
And then there's songs like Cuckold, where I
Yes.
kind of wanted I wanted to write kind of like an anti-suicide song, but I didn't want to be preachy.
Okay.
I just came with this idea like, yo, what if you just killed yourself and there is an afterlife, and like, yeah, you're dead, but everyone else fucking moves on, so you're just stuck there just watching your wife or girlfriend get fucked, and you just ultimately cuckolded.
My
Yeah,
Or-
I mean, though, but see, like that, there's something about that whole concept, like just the way it's so, I don't know, it's just so different than anything I've stumbled across. Like just the lyrics, like I just find, like I really enjoy that whole approach. I just find it hilarious and just so intriguing at the same time. I don't know why. Like I don't think I've stumbled like it.
I definitely think the humor is like healthy. You know, like I don't want to take everything so seriously.
Sure.
And really, like Jesus Lizard has songs where David Yow's just telling a joke, and also Cows. Like a lot of Cows are funny, but I wouldn't call them a funny band. Like they're not a joke. We're not like a joke band, but shit is funny,
Right?
Because I don't take anything seriously. It's almost like maybe like even like a coping mechanism to just fucking laugh at the most horrible things in the world, but
Right.
that's definitely on purpose.
Sure. Like when you're writing songs, like how do you usually go about the writing process? Is it kind of a, do you do it pretty much on the spot, or like do you think through a lot of these ideas before you kind of start writing them down, or do they just kind of flow out of you, like, you know, on a moment's notice? Like, do they just kind of sit in your subconscious, and when it comes to writing, you just kind of pour it out in one fell swoop?
Everyone's different. I think like when you pour out a whole song in one swoop like that, I think those always end up being the best. Like Beyond Human, we were at practice and they wrote the song, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I was like, oh, I got an idea, and I wrote that all at once.
Really?
But there's stuff that just randomly comes to me, and I type it in my notes, or sometimes I get an idea and I let it kind of marinate in my mind until I can how to approach it and put it on paper and make it work as a lyric. It's honestly like, it's kind of a lot like how comedians riff too.
Sure.
Like I'll talk about opinions and I'll talk about them a lot and I'll fucking repeat. I must be so fucking annoying on a Saturday night when I'm like half fucking drunk and I'm just like, what if you fucking die and you have to watch your wife get fucked? But yeah, a lot of it just comes to me. I can't sit down. Anytime I have an idea, I'm like, all right, I'm going to write a song about this. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do it. It always sucks.
Really?
It has to just kind of come out. And sometimes it comes out in little bits and pieces, and I can kind of piece them together, like that first song on the album, Piles.
Yeah.
Like 2 different songs, and I wasn't really happy with some of the lyrics, so I took some from another song, and I kind of pieced them together. And sometimes you get it all at once. And sometimes, like, Come Kind of Monster.
Yes.
Man,
dude, yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite. I think that's one of my favorite songs. That's
that song. So I had this. There's been a constant theme in Intercourse of like masturbation and growing desensitized to pornography.
Yes.
So I started to write this song. Like, well, I mean, I got to admit it. Like one time I masturbated and it got on my stomach and I got a rash. So I started to write this song about that. And then there was a Hulu documentary about pornography addiction.
Huh.
But James Hetfield is narrating it.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
This was a thing in Metal News, like it made a headline, so I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I kind of put that in the song. So the first 2 verses were written at once. Then we're about to go into the studio, we know we want to do a full length, and Timmy had this bass riff, and Caleb's like, yo, you should just like yell a bunch of some kind of monster quotes over this. And it like clicked in my head to use that one James Hetfield reference to segue the song into just being, like the ass end of it is, you know, like where Lars Ulrich yells fucking James Hetfield's face, that's me at the end going like, fuck!
Yes.
When he's like, yeah, in his meltdown with James Hetfield, he's like, they're with the therapist, he's pacing around, he's like, it's a fucking rock and roll band, I don't want any fucking rules. So some of those are taken from there. And also, I'm a Megadeth guy. I'm not saying fuck Dave Mustaine. I'm saying fuck, and then I'm saying Dave Mustaine.
Yes.
So I love Dave Mustaine, so I had to fucking shout him out. I don't hear it, but I hope people don't think I hate. His politics are garbage, but goddamn, that Megadeth catalog.
I'm with the FBI, calls us a traitor. I'm addicted to Every problem is a result of my charm. Can't believe it's eating me alive like a suicide. I miss that feels blowing, large frosted tips, mustang drift. I wanna talk about art with Lars Ulrich, art critic. I look him straight in his eye and say, I don't know art, but I know what I like. Man, please borrow your white leather jacket. Let me choose my words carefully. This is a rock and roll band, I don't want any fucking rules. Cannibalism, it's eating me alive like a suicide. Fuck, fuck, see, fuck, 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 fuck. They must stay rich. Fuck, they must stay machine. Fuck, 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 fuck. They must stay. They must stay.
Yeah. No, see, when I first listened to that, I couldn't tell exactly. Like, I didn't get those vibes. I just thought it was hilarious that you just were just repeating those lyrics over, or you were just kind of like repeating that phrase or those that couplet, and then the song was just kind of slowly degrading into the ambience near the end, or just kind of slowly falling apart near the end of it.
I don't know, but I do love Lars Ulrich. I just want to say that because everyone gets mad at me. They're like, how do you fucking like Lars? I'm like, yo, if you watch Some Kind of Monster and you watch how hard he trolls James, he's my favorite member of Metallica.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go watch this now, just based on what you're telling me. It sounds hilarious. I didn't even realize that that's kind of where it all came from. And yeah, when you those lyrics, when you're saying, you want to talk with Lars about the art critic, and then you want to borrow his leather jacket or what have you. And I was just sat there, and when I thought about it, I'm like, man, what the hell is going on? But
you ain't seen that?
Dog. Oh no! I was just reading, just the lyrics, the entirety of the lyrics. I thought it was just hilarious.
Oh, we're all obsessed with that movie. Like, if you watch, because there's that part where it's so dramatic, and he decides to sell all his art. And he's like watching it get so, and he's so coked up. You could tell his fucking jaw is swinging like a mile a minute. And he's just all upset, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, Lars Ulrich's like a fucking art critic, and he had that white leather jacket. If you watch the Black Album era videos, yeah. Cheers to Lars, man. He's the fucking best. I hate when people are like, oh, it should have been Lars. Like, no.
Right.
Nothing would have happened if Lars died.
Right.
He's that guy in the band that's just like, listen, we gotta. He's like me. He's like the annoying person in the band. It's like, all right, guys, we gotta fucking do this. We're going to the studio. Oh, we only have 4 songs. Like, no, we gotta fucking pull out more. We have to make a full length. Like, he's like that annoying motherfucker, and I love him for it.
And have a lot of people had differing dissenting opinions, because I saw, I kind of got into Metallica for a bit, but I've never gotten into their discography nearly as deeply as I probably should have, so I don't have full context of each of their respective personalities and how they interact in the band. But
well, the thing is, everyone says Lars is just a garbage drummer, which, I mean,
oh, that's true. Yeah.
He's not as good as Nick Menza from Megadeth or any of Megadeth's drummers, but I just like him. I think I want to hang out with him. I just think he's cool.
Yeah. It reminds me of this one funny meme I saw where I think it was something to the effect of Dave Mustaine, Dave Mustaine was in it, and I think Lars was in it, and like Dave Mustaine was cramming Lars into a trash can. And this is a meme, and he like slams him into a trash can, and then Lars pops his head out, and then he's like, "Oh, what's that sound?" Or he's like, "Oh, I like that sound." And then it shows like the album cover of Saint Anger, and it's like, "Oh, that's my new snare tone or whatever." And it was fucking hilarious. Like that's like the best insight I have.
This is a hot take, but I think fucking that snare is actually pretty cool. And on our second day in the studio, like on the ride there, we all drove together. We listened to Saint Anger.
Oh, really?
Yo, it's so bad. And the thing about how bad it is every song's 8 fucking minutes long.
Oh, shit, really? I have not listened to the thing front to back. I think I listened to like a clip of a song, and I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this.
Listen to Invisible Kid. It's like, honestly, like the worst song I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
It sounds like the fucking theme song to some like horrible 90s show.
Oh, no. Yeah, the 90s. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I'll have to go listen to that.
All you need with Metallica is like Master of Puppets.
Right. Yeah, those were like the ones, like some of their older ones. Like that was like the one that I really got into for a bit, and then Ride the Lightning or whatever the name of that one is.
Do you fuck with Megadeth?
Not too much. I got into them for a little bit. It's one of those things where I feel like I don't know what my deal is, but there's so many older bands that I just haven't retroactively gone back and listened to because I'm so focused on what's coming out right now or what's been coming out the last few years that I kind of put blinders on almost, and I don't go back as far as I should have, and I don't have as much, like, as deep of an appreciation for certain bands. Like, I listen to old bands like Death and such, but I don't... Yeah, but I, like, don't listen to them with a bunch of... Like I don't listen to them fervently, if that makes sense.
Oh, no. You mean?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, someday I'm sure I'll get into it. It's just... I, for some reason, have been so focused on going just like the stuff that's coming out right now, and I just never retroactively go and listen to a lot of stuff because I'm so, there's only so much time in a day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Megadeth is amazing. You have to listen to it in context, though, because like if you listen to Killing Is My Business, I think that came out in 1985, and now it might not seem special, but if you just like remember, like this came out in 1985, like that shit, like it's like the time signatures and his riffs, like that must have made fucking head spin. It must have been like the first time people heard Dillinger Escape Plan in 1998.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely worth listening to as a music fan to like really get into like solid stuff. Like you see where a lot of stuff came from too when you listen to a band like that.
Sure, that makes plenty of sense. Would you say that are they a relatively large influence on you as well, or at least like I don't know if like lyrically they have any inspiration, but
absolutely. It's my favorite band of all time.
Oh, okay.
So, my favorite band since I was 10 in 1994. Don't agree with his politics.
Sure.
I'm not like that, but for Dave Mustaine, I kind of ignore it.
Right.
I mean, the past like couple albums haven't been that great, but up until like United Abominations, which I think came out in 2007, like they wrote a lot of good albums, except for Risk. Risk sucked, but Saint Anger was worse because the songs were 8 minutes each.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't even imagine listening to that.
You know what I would like to talk about, because I do, is our album cover. And the guy that did it, Jagat, I don't know how I think you say Jagat Suri.
Yeah, I love that album art, man. I really like a lot of your album art. I think it's like even the pissing into the abyss, like, the alien or the girl having sex with like the space bug looking thing, or just like a cockroach. Like I just love all those different pieces you have.
Yeah, the kid that did it, he was our first bass player. He did that. He did a lot of our T-shirts. He did the cover to our first EP. His name is Connor Dabbs. He lives in Las Vegas now.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And I was really inspired. Well, we were mutually inspired by. There's like this weird like Asian pornography that's like women like having sex with like animals and weird demons.
Huh. And
it's
that's
really
where you drew it from? Yeah,
that's where we got the idea from, but we didn't want it to come across as like rapey, because that's never cool.
Oh, of course. No, and I didn't really even get that, like, that none of those impressions come across from that album art. It's just kind of like when I was talking with Connor, the co-host for Voices, he was like, dude, he told me, he's like, I didn't even realize there was a bug underneath the woman until like I listened to it again. Like it took him like a couple listens, then he's like, oh shit, I didn't even realize it. So it's like a nice, I don't know, I really enjoy it. It's just really different than most art pieces I see or come across.
I just interpret that as being kind of the male gaze, like the guy in the. I mean, I can't speak for. I know what I gave Connor, what I wanted him to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like, the guy in the doorway, and then the girl's looking so depressed. Like, I really feel for women. It must be awful having to fuck us.
Right.
Sometimes, like,
yeah,
guys, horrible to women. So I kind of pictured it as that, as one of those things. You might even compare it to like a Weinstein situation where she's just, all right, I got to climb on top of this fucking cockroach and fuck him so I can get in a movie.
Yes.
And really, but I just knew I wanted to have some weird Japanese type of pornography, and I wanted a cockroach to be involved.
Well, what about, why did you want a cockroach? Did that have specific... like was there something specific like kind of relating to like males or something like that, or like relating to a certain person or a certain type of person?
Basically, someone exited our band because we had to ask them to leave. And
I see.
He called up our drummer and he was like, "Well, fine, you want to stay with Ricky, that fucking cockroach." So if you know me, the idea of calling me a cockroach, like, I'm not perfect, I'm sure. I can be annoying, but I'm not a shitty person. I'm very considerate of other people's feelings. So someone kind of painting me as like a sociopathic cockroach was so hilarious to us that we just like had a thing with cockroaches for a little bit.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
I probably should not have said that on here, but
what do you do what's your day-to-day typically?
My day-to-day, I have a blue-collar job.
Okay.
I don't want to like say too much though, because I don't want. I'm like really like, because I do say fucked up stuff in our song. They're colorful. So I just never want, like, I try to hide that I'm in a band from the people I work with as much as possible.
Oh, okay. You never, okay, so you don't, okay, I get you. You
I'll tell you later what I do.
Okay.
But I have a fucking, like, a menial blue-collar job where I just get to listen to podcasts for, like, 7 hours a day.
Okay.
But, like, in the past, I've worked with people with developmental disabilities and CTE. I've done a lot of mental health work, but
interesting.
I got laid off a couple of years ago, and I got to the point where I got to get into the union, and after years of doing this shit, and I went to school for psychology, but the math got me. The statistics, I cannot do math. It's fucked up, so I never got my degree.
I see.
When I see numbers, my brain just turns off. It's so like I got all A's and B's in my psychology classes. Like, I'm not stupid. I just can't wrap my fucking head around math and numbers.
And that's perfectly okay. I mean, there are definitely plenty of people I've met and come across, and it's just like, yeah, if it's just not your thing, then, you know, that's just, there's nothing wrong with that at all, I don't think.
I could totally hook up with the hacks on how to, I mean, I'm still learning the social media shit, but
yeah.
There's a few tricks to the algorithm and fucking getting your shit noticed on social media, so.
What are some of do you have any hot takes or insights on that? Because I know, you know, the way social media has been kind of moving along as of late, it's been getting harder and harder to really get noticed without forking over dollars. Do you have like any opinions on that, or like have you found any neat workarounds for that kind of stuff?
It's fucked, like, and we definitely do spend, like, I do, like, I take our digital sales a lot of times and I'll reinvest those in boosting posts.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of bands that won't even do it, and I probably shouldn't either, because I'm just paying into it, so it's not going to stop, but it's like, yeah. I don't stop anyways, so I might as fucking well.
Yeah, no, I get you.
So, with us, it's just that we have enough followers, we have enough people liking our page and interested in us, that people want to talk to us, and people comment on our shit, and the number one rule is just engage them, I think, no matter what. On Instagram, like, if someone says something to you on Instagram, like, just reply with an emoji. Yeah. Just engage. It's all engagement is what keeps you up with them.
No, and I love that. I love that engagement you do. You use the emoji thing. You do like the pointer finger and then the okay or whatever, just kind of like the intercourse. And I see that everywhere. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a perfect way to interact with somebody, and it fits the aesthetic and like the name of the band like superbly well, right?
Did I tell you how we got the name?
No, I'd love to hear about that though.
It's so anticlimactic, but like we were like the kid I was in the band with at first, like he wanted like these really pretentious names. I just wanted a fucking punk band name.
Yeah.
We were going back and forth, and then one day my younger brother, who I love, like my younger brother he's like, I riff off him a lot, and a lot of my ideas I bounce him off my brother. He's like very important to me creatively.
Yeah.
So one day, it's like, yo, you should just name your band Intercourse. And I was like, ew. And then I was like, all right, that's cool.
And that was it?
Two like white librarians, like two square ass people just being like, all right, it's Friday night, we're gonna have intercourse. And they're like, maybe like make themselves like a fucking vodka and orange juice. And they're just like, all right, well, I guess this is what normal people do. We're gonna have intercourse, we're gonna do it. So I pictured as being very square, but also intercourse and fucking in itself is inherently rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that's number one goal, is just to be a rock and roll band.
Sure. And that's how it came. And that's how it came to be. That's it. It's as simple as that, huh?
Yeah. And the dude I was in the band with originally, like he was like not having it at first. Like, that's too funny. It's like, dude, like who cares?
I think it's perfect. I think it's pretty succinct, and in a sense, I think it kind of fits the zaniness of the instrumentation and the lyrics. I think it all kind of comes together. It all congeals really well, honestly.
Of it.
Yeah.
When we that show that we didn't get to play because our fucking drummer left, it was in Jacksonville, Florida. It was Rat Town Records was the name of the guy that booked it. He had a shop down there, like a record store.
Yeah. And
at the Harbor Tavern. So on their marquee for weeks, they had Intercourse Live. Had so much fun with it.
Oh man, I can actually see that being a pretty good like a marketing ploy almost. Like if even today, like if you were to go tour some cities that people didn't know of your existence at all, and they're like Intercourse Live, like people may just like even people who aren't into metal or hardcore or noise rock, they'd be like, oh, that's interesting, and like people like just random people may come out just because I don't know. It's such a hilarious.
Did you see like we get like mad? You know what I think, like, why we have so many likes is we get a lot of people from, like, Middle Eastern and Southeast Asian countries liking us.
Yeah, dude, I wanted to ask you about that because I read that in the interview. There was that remark, and I was like, man, I want to dig a bit more into that and, like, hear some, like, are there some pretty funny stories in there?
Oh, God. Like, one dude, let me see if I can find it. One dude met us, and he was like, if I have sex with a woman and I die, does she... Like, yeah, asshole. If you fucking dump your load in a girl, she's gonna have a fucking kid. It's like all the time, like constant, like fucking, like. And I'm Middle Eastern myself, so I shouldn't laugh. Well, no, I feel like I can laugh at them for that fact that I am as well. But
right.
Dude, it's ridiculous. And we get like tagged in posts, like Sex Help Podcast will like tag like why the fuck do you hashtag intercourse? Like, or it's not even hashtag, it's a hot tag, like. Why do you tag? Like, what do you think people are getting from that? You think there's a Facebook page just about sex?
Yeah, that's strange, and that's really weird that people. I mean, from my perspective too, I would think before you do a tag on Facebook or any other platform, because you know the stuff like autofills for you, I would think you'd want to go search it really quick to make sure it is what it is before you pop it on your. On your post that you're making, but it seems like a lot of people just don't give it any more thought beyond just writing it in, which is kind of strange to me, frankly.
Oh my god, I'm screen grabbing these for you, and I'm going to send them to you.
Or is there another good one, another juicy one?
Dude, there's so many. It's honestly ridiculous. Like, I'm looking through it right now.
Have you thought about, like, have you written a song around it before, or are you thinking of ever, like, poking fun at it in some other way, like a more meta way?
No, that's a great idea, though. I was kind of running out of ideas for the next album. Yeah, I mean, some of them are so fucking ridiculous, though. I try to sell them T-shirts. I tell them they'll get laid for wearing them, which you will.
Have they ever, like, replied after you say that? You're just like, oh, yeah, if you come buy one of our shirts, it's, like, guaranteed to get you, just to get you some action.
Oh, here we go. What to do when having sex and accidentally the sperm goes in the vagina of the girl.
What? That's what somebody said?
And then, like, our auto app, like, because for a while, like, Facebook was just eating up, like, all the messages I got, so I had to put the auto reply. And I just put, like, app sucks, email me here, and then the guy just replies back, like, hi.
What?
Yeah, I'm sending you screen grabs of all these right now.
Oh my gosh.
They're fucking ridiculous, dude. But, I mean, we have mad followers. Like, I think, like, a solid, like, 300 of our followers are just, like, weird dudes from the other side of the we're a fucking site.
I mean, do you have any, I mean, it doesn't sound like you really take issue with it. It sounds like it's comical, but, like, what was, like, when it first happened, what was your reaction? Like, because you run most of the social media stuff, like, were you just kind of taken aback?
I'm the only one on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Dude, people literally pay, and we've never done this, by the way. Like, I'll boost a post, but there are people that pay for followers on Facebook.
Yes, I've heard of that, and I've personally not done that before, but I've heard of people doing that for likes and follows or whatever. Like, they'll pay people. Yeah, I've heard of that. People
pay good money for this type of attention.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? We also have, like, we play with this band Armpits, this grind band from Boston, and they have a problem because there's, like, an armpits fetish.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they'll get, like, tagged and shit. There's also another band that has that happen to them called Moisturizer that Armpits told me about. So just watch out what you name your band.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say all those names kind of in a row, I can see how that could easily get misconstrued or that could get mistagged pretty easily. Like Armpits, yeah, I could definitely see that. And that's it's honestly kind of hilarious. Like, I never even thought about that. Like, just the name of the band is as simple as that is. How it can kind of get twisted into somebody's fetish almost.
So if you got to start a band, you should probably just name it Tits. You know what was awful? Do you remember a couple of years ago when that band Black Pussy came out?
Yeah, I think they're actually from Portland, I think, right? Or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right.
Portland, Oregon. Yeah, they stirred up some controversy around, like, locally too. I think that they were playing somewhere and people were like, "Oh, how could you, like, put a band on a bill with that kind of a name?" And I was like, I mean, I had no idea what they even sounded like, so I had no opinion on the matter. But what about them?
Bunch of fucking white dudes thinking they could, like, co-op black culture, and it was in such bad taste. But at the end of the day, I was more offended that I had to actually listen to them.
I see. Are they pretty? What's your opinion of them? You not a fan?
I mean, you're a fucking white guy. Don't name your band Black Pussy, asshole. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah, it sounds like they were, I don't know, a little too edgy, or I really don't know what their shtick is or, like, what their deal is. Like, if that's what they were going for or not, I really have no insights as to what they're about.
I mean, being edgy is dumb. If you're gonna be edgy, like, go all the fucking way at least.
Yeah.
Like, like, come on, bro. What the fuck? Oh my god, it was so fucking bad. But now nobody talks about them because they were just like a garbage band.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen their name crop up anywhere for a good while, except for that one time. I think exactly when you mentioned a couple years ago, I remember that controversy coming out. There were probably a couple articles that I read a bit about, but I didn't, I was like, I don't really want to give them my time or whatever. I probably should have done it for some context and some opinion, but I never really formulated anything solid on them. So
it was in the big fucking doom metal boom of, like, 2014. Like, there was a minute where everybody was in, like, a sludge metal band, and, like, they were like, it was just so fucking, it was just really in. It was, like, very generic at a time.
Yeah.
Or sludge metal kind of garagey thing. And
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I do vaguely recall that, and it's something that I've not paid. It's one of those things that's been changing as I've been getting a bit older, in that I just would, like, listen to bands and I really wouldn't pay attention to the larger context or the larger scope of how those bands fit in a certain scene or, like, the certain metal movement. But now, as I've been kind of aging or dying, whatever perspective you want to take, I've been definitely seeing kind of like that higher level context and kind of seeing, like, those waves, like what's hot right now or, like, what's cool for a moment, and then it kind of just fades, and, like, you almost don't even realize that it just kind of falls off until you look back a year or two later. You're like, oh yeah, there was that moment when everybody was doing this one thing, and then it just disappeared and nobody cares anymore. Like, it seems to be so hyper intensive with certain genres and certain styles.
Oh yeah, you'll see it. You're gonna see like 12 million like weird sort of like Dillinger-esque bands now that Vane's out.
Yep.
But
And yeah, a lot of bands probably trying to fill the void that they left in their wake, right? Because they're now officially broken up or on indefinite hiatus, like they've called it quits. So I would think a lot of bands are going to try and keep that torch lit, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I know we've been getting off the rails a bit, but I know you wanted to talk some about that, that everything is pornography artwork. We talked a bit about Pissing to the Abyss, but did you want to explain some of the art and inspiration for that one?
I mean, I had the title, and I had an idea of what I wanted, and I had an idea of the colors I wanted to use. The guy with the drill to his head is from a movie. I got that idea from the movie Frankenhooker.
Okay.
Oh yeah, watch it. It's only an hour long. It came out in like 1990. It's a really good B horror movie.
Interesting.
And
okay.
There's a thing where people will drill holes into their skulls.
Yeah.
Also, was like a lyric in a song, but like it releases a chemical, like a dopamine or a serotonin.
Okay.
So I definitely wanted that, and I just told Jagat like just put like I knew I wanted the spiral because spirals are dope. Like White Zombie always had them on their albums. I always thought spirals were real cool. And I was like, just put weird fucked up shit in it. And he came up with everything else off the top of his head.
Wow.
But I don't know, I just love commissioning him. He also did our t-shirt. Or our long sleeve. The Beyond Human long sleeve.
Yeah, that one looks odd. Is that the one where it says the implant is still intact?
Yes.
Is that bald guy that weird religious nut, or am I thinking of the wrong guy? It looks like that weird cultist guy.
Yeah, Marshall Applewhite from Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
That song is like, well, I said Marshall Applewhite was right. This sucks because they all kill themselves.
Right.
So I came up with the idea for that, and my brother wrote a script for a movie that was about some just like loser sci-fi writer that could never get a break, starting a cult based on the lessons you learned in the Twilight Zone series.
Right. Okay.
So that's not what the song's about, but I just kind of like threw that line in there to kind of like make it all the more cohesive.
Yeah, I remember that lyric specifically where it says like everything you know is from the Twilight Zone. Like there's kind of like that little rhymey bit. Is that what you're speaking of specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just kind of, when I was a kid one night, my mom woke me up and she was like, "Hey, come outside and look at the stars. They're like really nice." And I got really like obsessed with like space and aliens for a minute. So that's like where all that comes from. I just kind of like take all these little things and just try to make them cohesive.
Right.
And make like a little story out of it.
Yeah, and that's that's something that we touched on it a bit already, I think, but I really like about the lyrics and like the way you kind of piece it together, and it's strange because it feels so like the way that it's written and the way you sing it as well, it just comes off so genuine. Like it just feels like all these real life experiences that you're just kind of pouring out, and like the way you just kind of recite them, like I don't know, it seems like it's something where it's like you're letting your subconscious talk out into the world, or kind of like belch out into the void, like how you actually feel about certain things. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but that's kind of how I feel when I listen to your music.
That's perfect. Oh, also, I should say this.
Yeah.
So the last line, if you're going to kill yourself, then fucking kill yourself. Right?
Yes.
So when my brother wrote the script, we shot a short movie.
Oh, okay.
Like, a short film, but something happened in the last minute. One of the actors cut his hair.
Oh.
So fucked up the continuity of it. We could never finish it. So that was supposed to be a sample. Because there's one part where the fucking main character is fucked up on like cough syrup because he's trying to kill himself. And Rod Sterling, is it Rod or is it Ron?
Oh, shit. That's a good, let me
whatever,
look.
not important. But in a vision, and this, like, unsuccessful sci-fi writer just, like, sits there every night with a gun in his mouth, like, wanting to, like, blow his brains out, but he doesn't have the balls to.
Right.
So the Christian comes to him and is like, "Yo, if you're gonna fucking kill yourself, then fucking do it." And I wanted to sample that. But my brother couldn't find the fucking footage to sample it. So at the last minute, I was just like, "Yo, I'm just gonna fucking say it in the song."
Okay. I see.
So I write that.
Interesting.
Gary wrote that. So
What about that? Could I ask you about that song? That song Piles. I wanted to get a bit of insight into those lyrics as well, just because I found those to be so hilarious when I was listening to that. Like that really kind of sunk the hook in me for that album, and I wanted to know, like, is that an actual personal experience of yours, or was that just kind of some like deranged, or like just some strange rambling, some weird story that you just kind of concocted?
Oh yeah, the hot dog thing absolutely happened. Yeah, I was
Okay.
sitting in front of the mall and I was eating a hot dog, and a bunch of older kids came by and just kind of laughed. I mean, I say it like
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah, that was 100% true. The delivery was very inspired by Load, by this band Load, and the singer Bobby. Like, he delivered a line very similarly.
When I was 14 years old, I was sitting in front of the mall, eating one of those hot dogs wrapped in a pretzel. Some older kids came by and laughed at me, so now I don't eat hot dogs in public anymore.
And that may be something good to talk about as well, because I'm not too familiar with that band, unfortunately, but I found it pretty interesting that you're working on that film, correct? It's called Whiskey on Beer, and
Yeah.
it's already done, correct? And you're just trying to get some distribution for it, or are you putting the finishing touches on it?
I mean, we're editing it. It's
Okay.
not edited yet, but like, we're working on the editing. Man, I just, like, one of my friends turned me on to this band, and they were like a really forgotten band from South Florida. It's very hard to get your shit out. They were a local band at the same time Marilyn Manson was, and they were
Okay.
outdrawing them. So they were bigger than a band that essentially became the biggest band in the world.
Okay.
And yeah, we shot a documentary about them. Half of the members have passed away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Decided to shoot the documentary. At the time we got the idea, only Bobby had died.
Okay.
And Jeff, the guitar player, who was also in this band, Jack Off Jill, that people might be familiar with.
Okay.
After he died, we were like, fuck, we have to do this before everyone else dies.
What about it was so compelling to you, though? Like so you, like, that band was just so, like, they hit you just hard enough where you're like, you just wanted to like, as opposed to just being like a large fan and just like talking about them with people. Like, what about it? Like, why did you feel compelled to put it into a documentary? Because I assume that takes a damn good amount of work, but it sounds like it's a pretty deep passion of yours.
Like I said earlier, like, around the time I found them,
Yeah.
I was so bored with metalcore.
Right.
The band was starting, so it was very on my mind. Like, when the riff started to come up and it started to be like more of a conventional punk thing, like, how am I going to sing over this? I don't have a voice. I can't sing in key. I can't sing at all.
Right.
So when I heard Load, and I heard how Bobby couldn't sing, he could sing. He would talk over everything, and there were even parts where they called for singing, and he would sing. He would try to,
Yeah.
but he couldn't, and his voice would crack, and it was, I mean, by American Idol standards, it was bad, but it was so good.
Sure.
It was so good. Listen to Drunken Warrior Chief.
Okay.
The end, the vocal melody in the end of that, he's just like, Taba! And his voice is cracking. He sounds like a drunk asshole, but I just loved it. And then, like, I dug deeper into them, and, like, I don't know, they were just the coolest band, man. Everything he wrote was cool. His delivery was always cool. Like, he just did not give a fuck. And then by the time I heard of him, he already died. So when I Googled him, all I got was obituaries. So everything I learned from this dude's obituary and random YouTube videos.
Wow. Okay.
By the time the guitar player, Jeff Tukey, died, I was like, dude, we have to fucking...
Get
My
going.
brother has been doing videos and editing shit since he was 14.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Okay.
Before, like, he did all our music videos. So when Jeff died, we were already, like, talking about, like... Because Gary was just living in Connecticut at this point. We're like, yo, you have to do something. If you want to do this for a living, you have to find something to fucking do. I had just gotten a job where I was getting paid more money than I knew what to do with.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? You want to do a documentary on this band? I'll fucking pay for it. I'll book the hotel rooms. I'll buy you a fucking microphone. I'll buy you a new fucking lens. Just do this. I'll be the producer.
Awesome.
And Jeff died, and we were like, well, we better fucking do this before everybody else in the band fucking dies.
Yeah.
The drummer, Fausto, is like a very dear friend of mine now, and he came to my wedding.
Wow. Huh.
So,
that's really neat.
it was pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, that is really awesome. Is that something that you're like is this kind of a one-off thing, or are you hoping at some point, like, are you like, what did you learn throughout the whole process of doing this, like putting the film together and such and interviewing people?
You know, dude, I had a really good time. I met a lot of people in Florida. I have like so many friends in Florida now. What I learned musically, like about like my own delivery,
Yeah.
is like if you listen to Load, you'll get it. You'll be like, oh, this is where that dude got it from.
Okay.
I mean, I got it from him. I got it from Tim Singer from Dead Guy. I got it from Dave Brockie from Guar.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of shit from David Lee Roth.
Okay.
If you listen to old Van Halen songs, he would do those little like monologues and be like, "Ooh, that you ever listen to those? Like that suit is you."
Right.
You interrupt them. Really good experience, and it was fun. Hopefully, it comes out by the end of this year.
Yeah. What's the hope of, are you just gonna pop it up on some personal stuff? Or are you gonna try and shop it around to a couple, like, are there like certain movie festivals, or what are you hoping to do with it? Like, how far do you want to get it kind of cast out into the ether?
Well, festivals would be nice, but these kind of rock docs are very commonplace right now.
Okay.
And it was just about being able to do a full-length film.
Right.
I mean, also just the fact that we just wanted to know, like, we were obsessed with this band. We were totally obsessed with Load. If you go back and you, like, listen to their 7 inches and, like, all the shit that Bobby said, like, it was crazy. Like, there's some whack shit he says.
Really?
Whack in the bad ways. It's, like, it's crazy stuff, so.
Just his ramblings or whatever like, his lyrics are just kind of just...
Exactly.
Okay.
Personal questions, and it was just fun. It looks good in Gary's portfolio. I mostly, like, funded it for my brother because that's his career path.
Okay.
For me, it's just been, like, the fucking best time, so.
Sure. Are you also hoping, like, once this is out in the world, are you hoping at some point to do another one for another band, or, like, has it spurred any interest in doing other interviews or kind of films in some sense? Or is it just a one-off thing?
I would love to do, more like music journalism stuff. I have a few ideas for future like documentaries and stuff. But, you know, it's kind of just, this has to come out.
Yeah.
Once this comes out, I have this resume of being like, I did this. Until then, I'm stuck in limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a few ideas. But it's hard, like, assembling a crew and shit. It takes money, man.
Yeah, I can't, Connor, the co-host of Voices, he works on film sets like that, and he does, like, technical lighting, and that's his day-to-day. I mean, that's his day job, and, yeah, he describes some of the stuff, like, just the number of people you need to make stuff work, and it's staggering sometimes just to hear what kind of resources you need to get, like, just decent shots for films or commercials or any of that sort. Like, there's just so much going on behind the scenes that I'm oblivious to, and it always surprises me what's going on to make stuff, like, to actualize it.
Yeah, we did it with a 2-person crew.
Wow.
So, I did all the research. I, found out everything I needed to know, and Gary just set up sound, he set up the shots, and that was pretty much it.
I'm looking forward to when that comes out. I'm hoping it comes out here soon too. I can imagine the whole editing process is tiring as shit, just kind of making it all coherent, or like taking all the film and just kind of being able to trim it down into like a succinct and like well-paced story.
Getting the content too, because there's other bands they were in, like you have to get like fucking releases signed.
Yeah, and that stuff is completely beyond my comprehension. All those extra details, like getting signs of release and like making sure, like verifying with people that they're okay with it and hoping that they don't change their mind later on down the line when you're processing everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, like everything I got, like everything I learned was just like fucking scouring Facebook.
Wow.
Looking at every single fucking photo someone posted of this guy, reading the comments. going to articles about them, like looking back years and years. We found out he had a girlfriend that got murdered.
Wow.
And her story was like featured in a true crime book. Like it was just really like intensive research.
Jeez, yeah, you went down a fucking rabbit hole. It sounds like,
dude, it was insane. Yeah, it's like him and a couple friends. They went out to a bar because their friend just got hired, so they wanted to go and show and be like, "Oh, look, I bring people." They all left.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the end of the night, there was some like random army guy there. I forget his name. Not that I should even say his fucking name.
Oh yeah, no worries.
But yeah, they were like, he was like, "Yo, I need a ride home." So her and two of their friends gave this guy a ride home, and he just fucking butchered them.
Wow.
Like butchered them. Had sex with like her dead body and like the dead body of another male that was with them.
Wow.
And this is the singer's girlfriend.
That's crazy.
So that happened, and it was a huge thing down in Miami. And it's made its way into a true crime book, and we like connect that to his downfall.
Okay.
And like, I don't know if that'll even. Hopefully, that makes it into the film, because there was a lot of things that happened to the guy that we think is the reason why he drank so much. He drank himself to death at 42.
Wow.
Which
Really
is
that young, huh?
That's very young to kill your liver. But Florida's like a different world. If you've ever been to Florida, it's like
I've not.
all out of the sky. Everyone's drinking all day, every day. Well, not all day, every day, but it's like a tourist spot. Like the weather's nice. Like
yeah, I've heard a lot of people. I've heard a number of folks talk heaps and piles of shit about it, but I've also heard the opposite end of the spectrum as well. I hear people making like remarks like, "Oh yeah, if there's an earthquake and Florida breaks off and floats into the Atlantic, I wouldn't be disappointed or I wouldn't be sad about." Like, they're just like some really asinine remarks that some folks make, but it's like I have no perspective on any of that kind of stuff. So,
well, things are cheap down there, so there's like a lot of people that live for cheaper.
Okay.
There's thing with like the Florida man, like people are like, "Oh, you hear all these fucked up stories from Florida," but Florida has a thing called the Sunshine Clause. I'm not sure what the logistics of it are, but all I know is that we hear more news stories from Florida because of that clause. Like if something fucked up happens in Connecticut, generally it gets suppressed by the press and it doesn't make it to national news.
Right.
But because the Sunshine Clause in Florida,
yeah,
all their stories get aired out everywhere.
And that's what I was thinking, frankly, like, and not to say, like, I'm, like, oh, that's what I've been thinking based on what you said, but that was another bit where it's like, yeah, you hear a lot of news stories coming out of there, but it's like you don't hear a lot of news stories coming out of Colorado, like a bunch of other states, like any other state, or like Nevada or Wyoming for that matter. Like you never hear about any of those things, but whenever there's an article, it's like people are like, oh, of course it's in Florida. It's like, yeah, but how many other states are you frequently hearing about in the news?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's totally what it is.
I've asked folks about movies before, and usually I kind of get not to say not insightful, but I don't get a whole lot of bite on that question. But are there specific movies or specific media that deeply impact some of the concepts or some of like the strange stories you articulate in your tracks? Like, are there, because, you have like the Twilight Zone, like that line, but are there specific like films or TV shows, like old school things or anything that really hits you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just an FYI, like I have a lot of tattoos and they're all horror movie.
Oh, cool.
Movie related. Like I said earlier, like Death to Smoochie.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone, Trauma films. Like Trauma's a huge influence, like Toxic Avenger and all that shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen the whole thing of Toxic Avenger, but I really enjoyed the bits. I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, but I saw parts of it and I thought it was kind of hilarious.
Number 2 is my favorite one because that was the first one I saw.
Okay.
My grandma, the video store, and I rented it, and there was a lot of breast in it. But she made it not awkward. God bless her heart. She was a Democrat, but still kind of racist. It's insane how, like, in the 70s, even the Democrats were racist. Do an old person thing.
Yeah.
We don't hold it against them. She's no longer with us. That's also why we don't hold it against them.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a definite, like, film influence, dude. Like, film, especially comedians, like I said, like Robin Williams and shit like that. Like,
yeah.
Just all media. Like, Intercourse is, like, the shit we come up with, it's everything. Like, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's funny. I always like bands that could broach many subjects. Like,
Yeah.
Bill himself was a jerk off, obviously, because of the whole thing that happened. But I always liked how Pantera could have songs about different subjects, and so could Megadeth.
Yeah.
So we try to really do that.
Yeah, and it keeps it. I would think that keeps the tracks and just like album over album, it keeps it more engaging. Because if you're kind of just like singing about the same concept or just kind of spinning your wheels on one idea, people may just like lose interest, or I don't know. It seems like the more variety.
Who wants to hear fucking 10 songs about me? I don't even want to hear one song about me. Like, musicians are so there's like two types of musicians, right? There's musicians that fucking love themselves and absolutely like dick eat themselves. They're very self-indulgent, and then there's people like me that just fucking hate themselves and are just like so annoyed with existence.
Yeah.
And just try to find other ways to talk about it.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Excuse me, I put a beer in the freezer to make it cold, and I turned into the slush. It blew up. The second I opened it, it was a nice summer shandy.
And it just fucking blew up in the fridge?
It blew up. I have a slushy.
Well, hey, at least it's still drinkable.
I have an Italian wife. She's wonderful. She's a tattoo artist. She has her own shop.
Oh, wow.
It's called Earthship Studios in Waterbury. But, Italian ladies, like, she keeps me alive, if you think about it.
In what sense?
I don't think I would have made it this far. I met her when I was 30. Well, I met her when I was, like, 24, but I, like, got into a relationship with her when I was 30.
Okay.
I don't think I would have made it this far without her.
What has she done for you? Just, like, making sure you eat the right
Just turn
food?
over my fucking stomach when I'm too drunk so I don't choke on my vomit. That type of thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mostly.
Yeah, that sounds like she's really...
Haircut, my teeth.
Yeah, it sounds like she's really looking out for you.
Not that I'm, like, drunk that often. I really, like, people, like, meet me and they're like, yo, you seem, like, pretty, like, all right. Like, yeah, dude, I'm not, like, an insane drunk just on Saturday.
Right. Yeah, it seems like that all kind of ties back to that one, that fucking hilarious, that Piles track where, you even you had the shirt made of it where you say, like, your rock bottom is my Saturday night. Like, it all seems to kind of be syncing up with that entire theme, in a sense.
So the story behind that.
Yeah.
We had our record release Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a song called Long Island Iced Tea.
Mm-hmm.
Which mentions the bartender at the bar we play it often called Brooklyn Cafe, Joseph. Shout out to Charming Joseph. So because we have that song, he always made me Long Island iced teas. And it took me a couple visits there to realize every time I drink those fucking things, I black the fuck out. Because they're delicious. I just suck them down real quick.
Right, and you only have one, and it just toasts you?
Oh, fucks me up. Dog, they taste so good.
Yeah.
There's alcohol in them, but they taste so good.
Right.
So I did that. The next day I woke up and we had to go to a wedding, and we showed up late, but the reason why these people got married was because they met at one of our barbecues at our house, because my wife and I have a house.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like such garbage about it.
Right.
I just started, like, pounding drinks to feel less... Because, like, when you're hungover, you feel, like, horrible. Like, even your anxiety is ramped up.
Yeah. It's been a while since it's been a good bit since I've been hungover, but that's one thing I do not miss. That's one thing I don't miss about drinking. Like, I felt like I've almost slipped back into it, and then I think about all those hungover mornings, and I'm like, it's not worth it. You know what I mean?
Nobody, like, ever, like, oh, man... I got hungover one time.
Yeah.
Nope. Back fondly on that.
No, it's
Yeah,
always miserable.
we headed there. We were late, so in the whole like wedding spiel, they like talk about meeting each other at our barbecue, but we missed it. And then everyone, after the kiss, everyone walks down,
Hmm.
and we're just like standing there, like, yeah, we were too late to see it, and we got such a look of disgust from the wedding party.
Really
Yeah, I just felt like such a piece of shit. I started having drinks, and I came up with that
interesting.
at a
Okay.
wedding.
Man, that's pretty fucking funny. See, and that's the thing. Like, I would just love. They're like almost every. I mean, we've already gone through a number of the tracks, but there's so many tracks where it's just like, man, I want to know about how the hell you came up, or like what is underlying this. These all these different tracks.
The things I have to go through just to get a solid lyric,
Yeah.
it's not fun.
I mean, what is it? What is it exactly that? Like, how do you? Because we've already talked about like bits where you say you sit down and if you try and force something out or you try and write something, it always ends up being pretty shitty, or you don't really think it turns out that well. But like is there like an iterative process to like get it all to come together in a coherent piece?
The best I can say is I don't think I'm inherently like a very talented person, but one thing I think I'm good at is taking things out of context.
Okay.
A lot of times people will say something, and for some reason it'll click in my head, and I'll be like, huh, that's a cool lyric.
Okay.
Like one time one of our friends was like, well, it is Saturday night, and I heard that, and that was a lyric in a song.
Okay. So that's so in a sense you even get some influence. It's not even like necessarily like specific concepts or theme. Like you can kind of glean it from conversations or kind of like one-off remarks that people make, and you can those some of those just stick with you pretty well.
Absolutely. I think I'm just such a fan of so much media, like of movies, of films, of comics, and I'm so obsessed with it that I don't know, I just like hear things in conversations, and I take those, and then, I also do like write my own shit. Like
Right.
I do like come up with a lot of shit off the top of my head, but it's just like a mixture, man. Like you can pull influence from everywhere. I don't think there's any experience that's ever wasted on a human if they're
Sure.
paying. Like I can like go on for hours about bands that I like that fucking influenced me. But then I could also like talk about like going to school and like professors that I had that said shit that was really cool. That was kind of like, huh, that also pushed me in that direction. So
Right.
I'm just so obsessed with like music and like doing cool shit that everything I hear or see, I try to apply to it.
Okay. And
So I'm really a maniac.
yeah. And what is I wanted to ask a tiny bit too about kind of the descriptor. When you kind of call yourself or the like kind of like the outsider hardcore, like what about that descriptor? Like do you generally feel like does that word, that description kind of relate to you and the whole band, or do you feel like does it do a lot of like the lyrics, do you tend to find that they kind of relate with people who tend to not be super they're like outsiders? Like what about that description, like how did that kind of crop up?
Well, I mean, there's this cliche,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm heard it a million times about people going to hardcore shows. And I went to a hardcore show for the first time, and I felt like I belonged. I found my tribe, and I
Right.
just felt like I had people. I never had that.
Okay.
I never went to a hardcore show and was like, oh, I belong. Like I everywhere I have gone my whole fucking life, I've always felt like an alien. I've never felt like I fit in.
Okay.
So even to this very day, like, well, now that Intercourse like gets some attention and people come out to our shows specifically to see us, there's a bunch of weirdos that come out and hang out, and
Yeah.
I do feel very comfortable around them. But still, at the same time, like I'm constantly in situations where I just feel like I don't fit in. So that's what that is.
Okay.
But also, like, I mean, the name itself, Outsider Hardcore, I don't know if it was Vice or Noisy, but there was some article like listed outsider hardcore bands from the Midwest.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Weird off-kilter hardcore bands. And when I read that and I listened to them, I was like, oh, that's us. Because, like, we are noise rock, but we don't totally fit in. Because noise rock is, like, there's a lot of, like, very pretentious people and
Right.
not totally. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the noise rock scene, but there is that faction that's very judgmental and pretentious, and
It
probably
seems-
looks down, knows that, like I told you earlier about that kid that's like, oh, you're fucking bleeding through, like to that.
Yeah.
Like I've said, I've never fit in anywhere,
Yeah.
so
Do you,
hence outsider hardcore makes sense to me as a genre for us.
do you find as well that it kind of, I mean, as you've been discussing, or you've mentioned, kind of, as you've been getting more traction or more, more exposure, or people have been coming out to your shows and such, do you find that kind of the style of music, do you find it to be, like, it kind of encapsulates and attracts people of that sort? I know it's hard to say, like, everybody who goes to your shows and such, but do you feel like there's kind of a hunger or desire, like people like relate to your style of music in a way that they may not relate to, some other bands?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had like a bunch of people message me and be like, yo, this is cool. Like, yeah, this kind of fucking speaks to me. There's a bunch of people that come out that are just fucking weird, and it's like, all right, cool. I think, like, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Did I answer that right?
I think so.
I mean, a little bit tipsy.
No, man. I think you got to just. It's one of those things where it's like sometimes I can come up with questions, but no matter how, like, whatever question I come up with, it's like there's no right or wrong answer. It's just me just trying to kind of sate that curiosity, because I've just found your style of music so refreshing and just so different relative to so much other music that I've stumbled upon as of late. I mean, we talked about that in our Voices episode, like I just really like just like the weird twists and turns it takes. And even though you, as you said, you like deem it noise rock, like you still like kind of sprinkle in like those mathy bits, and you kind of have those strange off kilter riffs, and it kind of all comes, it's just such a strange sound, but it all works so well.
Well, Intercourse definitely isn't for everybody, but we've
Yeah.
really been like embraced by like the mathcore people.
Yeah.
Like the community, like that whole mathcore indexing, like those dudes
Yeah.
definitely like pump us up and they like give us props. At the same time, there's a lot of people that are into like traditional hardcore. Like we're very like, if you listen to like Germs and fucking MDC, a lot of like early Black Flag, like there's also a lot of that in there. So
Right.
I think really good music should always be hard to categorize. It's always like, it's just weird. Like there's always these bands like Converge that people like, but nobody really knows. Like you can throw out a term like metalcore or some shit, but does that really describe Converge?
Right. No, and it's one of those things where their sound has been evolving so much, and even like this most recent record, like I would say that's one of the more like lyrically deliver, like the way like Jacob delivers his lyrics and such, like it's so diverse relative to any of their past albums, and like they just seem to be like in like this perpetual metamorphosis.
Exactly.
And I find that to be like one of their most engaging and interesting aspects, frankly. I mean, that's what keeps me so interested in them, like how they can keep changing, but it's like they still maintain that kernel, that essence, but they can like kind of move around it, and it's still awesome no matter what they do. Almost.
Oh, because they're true artists.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite song on that album is Thousands of Miles Between Us.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah.
favorite songs on the album are like soft songs.
Yes.
Also, like, what is it's like the third song, like that. Is it like Trigger or something? Or
Maybe. Yeah. See, it's been a little bit since I listened to that one.
I really like their like Jesus Lizard stuff, but like, that album's a fucking masterpiece, man.
Yeah.
I've always liked Converge, but I've never been crazy about them. But like, I definitely think this is like the best album of their careers, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I really dig them a lot, and I guess going a bit into, or speaking some to your project as well, are you guys, or for you personally, are you seeing, as you're going forward with this project and as it's kind of evolved over the years, are there certain places, certain genres and sounds and experiments you haven't really dabbled in yet that you're looking to kind of implement later on? Like, are there certain avenues you're looking to traverse that you haven't really explored yet?
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about doing like a sludge metal EP called Bumwine, based off of like the idea of like Mad Dog 2020 and those like really cheap, shitty wines that bums drink.
Okay.
We had like a theme, and I had a whole concept written out for it. I don't know if we're gonna accomplish that, or if we're gonna do an LP and we're gonna have side B be Bumwine. But Caleb, our drummer, who like writes a lot of our riffs,
Yeah.
has talked about his need to have more blast beats on the next album. So I don't know where it's gonna go. I hope it goes in a direction where everything's just weird again, and there's a real variety in the songs.
Right.
You know, see, I have a few ideas.
Yeah, when are you guys looking to begin recording that? Is that something that's going to be slated more for like end of this year into early next year?
As soon as possible, man. Like, we love going to the studio. Like, we have 2 songs that hopefully are going to be on a split with another band.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
By the end of next year, I would name the band, but I don't want.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, we really want to get in the studio by the end of this year to lay something down. It might be a sludge metal EP. Like, if you listen to Pissing, I didn't think of it this way, but someone else did a review, and they're like, yo, this is a grindcore EP. Why isn't this as a grind EP? So I think our thing is kind of doing EPs, and we'll do a grind EP. Maybe we'll do a sludge EP. Then our LP will come out, and it'll be all over the place.
Interesting. And what is it about? Like, what is it about? Like those? I mean, that's kind of a neat prospect, or like a neat thought, like where you can kind of just be like, okay, we're gonna just like shift gears. Like, is that just the whole band kind of comes together and there's like, all right, let's just break up the pace. Like, let's just not get like into like, let's not get. Is it almost like you don't want to get complacent with just like writing like a similar style of music? Like, do you just want to always kind of keep yourself on edge with the different, things you produce, different styles?
I think we just have so many influences, and we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
There's stuff we like, I love fucking hardcore, I love noise rock, I love grind, I love black metal, I love garage rock, I love fucking 90s alternative.
Yeah.
We just kind of I think bands really, a lot of bands just have one type of song.
Sure.
And that's it.
Yeah.
We're going to write one type of song for 20, 30 fucking years.
Yes.
It's really fucking boring. We just want to do what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
I just want to not get bored.
Have you been feeling, it doesn't sound like you're on that wavelength right now based on how things are going, but have you...
Not at all, but I have to be a terror.
Yeah.
We can't put this song on here. Like, isolating a song for a split?
Yeah.
Madness. Like, picking one... So it's one song and it's a cover. And the cover is Black Flag, My War.
Okay.
But because we kind of played it shitty, we're thinking about just putting it as My Warts.
That's great.
We'll see, though.
I love that though. Like that scent, like just kind of like that. You're just like, oh yeah, we just kind of played it kind of shitty, so let's just change it and like almost make it like a little bit of a parody. I like that.
You're not gonna you're not gonna play My War better than Black Flag.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? There's so many covers I want to do, and I'm always like, I always want to do these like weird '90s covers, like these weird '90s alternatives. I'm like, yo guys, we can make this heavy. Everyone's like, all right, fuck off. Like, no, we're not going to do that. Like,
what would you say is one of the weirdest ones you brought, and people just, like, looked at you and said, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you even, like, what's one of the weirder ones you brought to the table?
Oh, probably a whole song or a No Doubt song.
Oh, damn. Okay. That'd be awesome.
I'm working on them, though. I'll get it. Or a Bush song. Because my brother moved to L.A., and there's this one song where he's like, maybe I'll fly to Los Angeles, find my asshole brother. And I just think that's so sick.
Yeah. Oh, shit. That's fucking funny. I would love to...
It's so hard to, like, talk everybody, like, into doing it. Because, like, for me, I just have to read the lyrics and do it. Like, they actually have to, like, learn stuff.
Right.
So they're just like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
No, we're supposed to cover Since You've Been Gone.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Everybody learned it, but it might happen. I also wanted us to cover Motley Crue Looks at Kill.
Man, that would be great. I would love to hear all that. Like even just like a bunch, like if you did like a myriad of just various random '90s songs and just made like an LP out of that, or like a 6 or 8 song EP, that'd be great.
I wish, but will everyone else want to put that effort into doing like an LP of covers? Is the thing. We're talking about doing a Halloween show as L7.
Oh, okay.
Familiar with L7?
I'm not too familiar, but it rings a faint bell.
Oh, L7's dope, dude.
Yeah, you want to explain that a tiny bit?
I mean, they're like an early '90s noise rock band. They're so heavy, and it's if you like ever met our guitar player Jay, he's like the idea of seeing him in drag is so hilarious. But a bunch of great L7 songs, like the song "Gas Chamber" that's on the Serial Mom soundtrack.
Yeah.
Bricks Are Heavy is an amazing album.
Man, dude, you're giving me a lot of good recommendations.
You think the Acacia Strain is heavy? Listen to L7.
I'm gonna have to go do that. Yeah, that's always something that never fails to kind of stagger me with each conversation, is just the number of bands that influence artists that I speak with that I've never heard of in my life, and how much research I have to do after each just to get familiar with them. It's pretty amazing. Just like, yeah, like I've not heard of so many of these bands, you know, like these noise rock bands specifically. It's all pretty new to me still.
Yeah, man, I'm on like a constant like search for new music.
Yeah.
But like there's not a lot of great stuff coming out right now. So a lot of it is just like going back and finding old 90s bands.
And that's within the realm of noise rock, or are you saying just more generally like within metal and
I mean, mostly noise rocks. I'm like pretty bored of metal. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff coming out on a $20 spin.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job. I've only recently gotten into them, but they've put out some pretty solid releases.
Oh yeah, that Ghastly album is sick.
Yeah.
Cover the Tomb Mold album is sick.
Yeah, Tomb Mold is good. I got there's a pretty good like this kind of like acidic death metal band from Portland called Witch Vomit, and they put out I think $20 Spin put out two of their, they put out an MLP, like a mini LP, and one of their other LPs, and I've seen them live, and they've been putting out some of their stuff, and they do some pretty solid, they've been putting out some pretty good stuff. I really like what they've been doing.
Yeah, they're awesome. As for noise rock, fuck. Among the Rocks and Roots is really sick. It's involved. It's like very like harsh noise. It's a real acquired taste.
I'm into that. I'm always into that stuff, man. Anything that's harsh as fuck, I live for that stuff now. That's like my favorite kind of music, if you can call it that, at this juncture in my life.
Yeah, their album's getting a lot of accolades. We play with them a bunch. It's on Bandcamp. It's like a double LP. Well, I mean, they're sold out of it now. I pre-ordered it, though.
Oh, okay. What's the band name again?
Tongue Party is sick. We just did a weekend with Han. They're very sick. It's like, I hope this is oversimplifying their sound, but they just remind me of like a very ultra heavy Stone Temple Pilots.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to forget somebody. That's the worst thing.
Oh,
it's
you're
like
fine.
That band that I forget to mention. Video Dome out of Connecticut. They're like right down the road from us. It's very noise rock with a female singer. I know it's like a faux pas to mention that the singer's female, but
right.
I like women's voices better than men's generally a lot of times. So
right.
For me, that's cool. I can't think of anything else right now.
No, you're giving me, yeah, that's usually what I ask folks near the end of conversations as well, or at least when I stop recording, I'm kind of like, oh, like I always like to get some recommendations of artists just to kind of keep that info flowing in the ether, you know, like just keep people engaged in new stuff and help people discover stuff. And you've given me like probably some of the most, like one of the healthiest quantities of art, like of new bands to listen to relative to most other conversations, I'd say.
That's an eclectic mix. Like you should find something you'll dig in there.
Yeah,
I'll
for
think
sure.
Else too, and I'll be like, oh, I'm an asshole. I should have mentioned that band. There's good stuff coming out, man. There's like, people are like, oh, rock and roll is fucking dead. Like, rock and roll is not dead. Like, rock and roll will never die. Punk rock will never die. It gets really corny. It gets super fucking corny.
Yeah.
Like, right now, everyone's just trying to piggyback off of hating Republicans and hating Trump. Which, Trump is an asshole, but if you ain't got anything more interesting to say than that, then shut the fuck up. Also, last year, this band, Ether, put out a really good album. There's Nothing For Me Here Anymore. It's the singer from Remembering Never.
Okay.
It's really great. It's like very doom metal, but they have a way of adding clean vocals that's like very haunting.
Okay. That sounds pretty good, actually.
I would definitely recommend checking that out. That was my favorite album last year.
Yeah, I'll have to go give that a look for sure. That sounds great.
Also, Grizzle out of Connecticut. Like, I'll go on for fucking hours.
All right, cool, man. Well, thank you very much for your time again.
Enjoy your Sunday, my dog.
Thanks, man. You take care.
She was